and you need a wordy way to describe what you just talked about in your episode. Because when someone is searching for what they want in their life, maybe it's a financial coach, or maybe it's, great smelling candles, going back to my example from earlier. Whatever they're searching for, you need words to hit the internet that will key into what that person just typed in. So when you title your episodes well and you have comprehensive descriptions about your episodes, that's probably one of the most important back end pieces of creating a podcast, so that people can find you and learn about you.
Welcome back to another exciting show of the About That Water podcast, where we help you build strong financial habits. My name is Anthony Weaver, and I'll be your host today. And I have the awesome opportunity to bring on a person who has well over 15 years experience in project management experience, has been in the podcasting realm since 2019. So, she has a lot going on in this space. And she is always talking about living the abundant life, not just for yourself, but also in business. How you doing today, Virginia?
Thank you for having me. I'm excited, Anthony.
Awesome. So now that you've been doing the podcast Abundance for such a long time, and you recently just you got close to a goal to this year already in 2024. How has that journey been?
Yeah, thank you. So in looking at the business and how it's grown over the past few years, last year honestly was a little bit of a backslide, which is scary to see as a business owner. So when I was looking at my goals for this year, I made them big and bold and a little bit scary. And I knew in November and December that I needed to go ahead and start laying the foundation for me to be able to hit my January numbers. So I will say I'm still counting this as a win, but I have a goal this year to launch for business owners, for my ideal clients. And in January, it's not quite over yet at the time of this recording, but we're getting close, and I've got some travel coming up and whatever, so I'm kind of like, oof, we might be capping out here. But I have launched 2 new shows I'm super excited about, and I did actually contract a third one, but she's not going to launch until February. So it's kind of like on that line, do I count that as my 3 for January or not? But I'm just going to say, you know what, I did it. And I did more than what I was doing last year. So it's a win.
And that's one of the things is really good, is that you pushed yourself a little further than what you would never did on your own. Not to say on your own, but without even trying. You actually tried to make this happen, and you got close.
Yeah.
But it's okay, though.
Yeah. Thinking about the long-term trajectory of my business. So looking forward 3 years, 10 years, that seems so far away. But then when you look backward and you say, okay, from 2019 to 2023, through the end of 2023, what has happened and what has the growth of the business looked like? I'm reading a book now called Traction, and I picked up this book a couple years ago, and I will very confidently say I was not ready at that time because it barely made sense to me. And I put it down and I said, you know what, there's going to be a day for this. And when I picked it up recently, I had kind of forgotten about that. But picking that book up again and reading it, and it was just like I couldn't get enough. And so I downloaded the worksheets and I'm doing all the things, and that has really helped me outline those goals.
That's awesome. So why Podcast Abundance? Where did that come from?
Yeah, great question. I realize in hindsight that the business name doesn't necessarily allude to exactly what we do. So that's kind of silly. I have always been obsessed with this abundant idea, right? Like this journey toward what we would each consider our ideal life. And initially, I started doing, way back, I started doing financial coaching as I came out of a season of, let's just be clear, awful finances with my family. And as I solved those problems, I realized, I'm not the only one struggling with this. And so I wanted to share about it and talk about it. That business was called Reaching Abundance. And when I launched my own show and things accelerated very quickly to where suddenly, instead of the financial coaching piece, people were coming to me saying, hey, I need you to launch my podcast. And I was still hanging on to this abundance concept. And I said, you know what? Okay, I guess this is a business now. Podcast abundance. Let's just go with that. And I'm happy that I kept that because that still is a very important piece of my journey and a reminder every day of why I do this. So yeah, just kind of an obsession with that topic.
Yeah. And podcasting has been around for quite some time now. Mm-hmm. And have you noticed a shift in podcasting since you started this? Oh,
so in 2019, I would say the podcast was very clearly defined as an audio-only medium. Some people did video, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And especially within 2023, lots of moves happened in the industry. Spotify started accepting video podcasts. They will actually stream your video now. YouTube implemented an RSS feed feature, which is, a RSS feed is a complicated way of saying that you share your link from your podcast host account into YouTube so that your audio is now on a video platform. And then on top of that, of course, Google owns YouTube, so they announced that they were doing away with Google Podcasts. And that just shows us from like a high-level business, high-level business perspective that Google is even, as big as they are even putting all their eggs in on the video side of things. So that is just a huge transition over the past few years.
Yeah. And, when we come to having a podcast, I know it's a great way to kind of get inside people's ears because right now people are spending time with us listening to what we have to say about podcasting at this room. But also monetizing, because you've helped a lot of people and a lot of podcasters out there who just launching theirs, but also you also help maintain them. So how do you help them monetize their podcast?
Yeah. So most people come to me with an existing business and they're interested in launching a show. But of course, they're experts at their business, right? So whether it's like financial coaching or they own a candle shop, like whatever it is, they already have that. And that's where they're an expert. They aren't an expert at this audiovisual or like software tech piece. And within that, okay, great, launch a podcast. I can totally help you do that. But we need to think strategically about how this endeavor is actually going to benefit your business or improve your life in some way. It's not all about the host or the creator. That's not the case. But as the host is sharing information and helping all the listeners, there needs to be some amount of reciprocal gain. So we start to talk about affiliate opportunities, partnership opportunities, that could go with sponsors, or that could go as far as like lots of financial advisors, for example. They'll have a partnership with a life insurance firm or something that, they're having this referral relationship. So looking at things and thinking about, yes, you can make direct sales from people who fall in love with you, reach out and say, I'm crazy about what you do. I want to buy your thing. Great. That's a direct customer. But there are other ways to monetize as well. So depending on the type of business, we're exploring those opportunities from the very beginning.
That is really cool, because I know for my show, I actually use affiliate links heavy. And it sometimes become overwhelming to come up with the commercials sometimes, or they give you, some companies are really nice. They actually give you the full B-roll with all the music and voiceover and everything like that. And then other ones are like, well, these are just our parameters. You come up with something and we'll approve it or not. Like, have you come across any of those that kind of been like really cool, that's been successful in affiliate links? Has that been like profitable? Have you seen anybody become really profitable with that?
The most profitable and easiest, let's say, affiliate links, affiliate opportunities that any business owner is going to have is something that they truly use and love. It's really hard to speak on a product or software or widget that you really aren't familiar with or haven't used or haven't tried. So anytime someone is looking for that extra little bit of affiliate income or different opportunities there, I'm always interested in going through an exercise with them where we're just exploring, what software do you use for this? What do you use for that? How's this? Is that on your phone? What do you do, okay, in this situation? And really identifying what are all the things that I already use in my life so that it's not, quote unquote, work to go find other products. So I think that's almost like low-hanging fruit and the easiest to monetize because you're speaking as a true user of those items.
Gotcha. So, we all have different styles of podcasting. The most common one that people like to see, I can't say common, but at least the ones that have been top of the charts, either are comedy, which means that some form of comedy is happening. But have you noticed that there have been more solo or more interview style podcasts out there?
I don't know the statistics on that, actually. But I will say, as a host, when you're thinking about creating a show, it's important that, especially if you're the business owner, you do some solo episodes so that you are the authority figure in your business, in your industry, right? So that your show is truly positioning you for visibility and for authority in your space. Now, I think interviews could potentially be, and some people won't like that I say this, but easier because you aren't the entirely responsible party for delivering the content, right? It's a conversation. So maybe you still prepare, but it's not as intense for you in the preparation phase as the host. But I also think either way you choose, it has to be intentional because less and less often do people just want to listen to a conversation. They want something out of it that they can take home or think about or put into action very quickly. I'm seeing a shift from just fun and games, right? And just hearing a conversation to like help me with my life, right? Like give me something, the educational piece.
No, you're right. Because I'm noticing that a lot of people have asked me about starting a podcast, and a lot of them just don't know where to go. So what would be, I guess, your top 3 things that they would need to have to really start their podcast?
The main thing you need is a quiet space. The potential for background noise is rampant, whether it's the AC kicks on or the next door neighbor is mowing their yard or I put the dog outside, but there must be something going on because I can still hear him barking. So that is the important piece, and that's why you hear various, especially audio-only podcasters, basically hiding in a closet with clothes all around them so that they can record in this soft environment which absorbs sound and prevents reverberation or echo. So number one, quiet space. Number two, some kind of microphone. It does not have to be expensive to get started. You can get microphones on Amazon. There's a lapel mic that I have that works very well for like $20. This guy right here that I have, I've had it for years. I think it's like a $50, $60 microphone. It's one of the most recommended in the industry because the sound is great. So some kind of microphone, whatever you do, don't just like speak out loud to your camera or your laptop. That will sound really like nails on chalkboard in people's ears. For a third, I would revert back to the planning and thoughtfulness around why you're doing what you're doing and the content and how you're helping.
Okay, that sounds good. At least give people some starting pointers. Because I noticed you also have a freebie on your page.
I do.
That freebie a little bit?
I think the one that's up right now is a show notes template. Is that the one you're talking about? Okay, good.
Yep, that's the one.
There's a few, but I wasn't sure which one I'd rotated through this time. So show notes are basically your episode summaries, right? So your episode description, show notes, some people call it. And you need a wordy way to describe what you just talked about in your episode. Because when someone is searching for what they want in their life, maybe it's a financial coach, or maybe it's, great smelling candles, going back to my example from earlier. Whatever they're searching for, you need words to hit the internet that will key into what that person just typed in. So when you title your episodes well and you have comprehensive descriptions about your episodes, that's probably one of the most important back end pieces of creating a podcast, so that people can find you and learn about you. And that template helps guide people through writing solid show notes.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that we do as a podcast host yourself, and I do as well, is that understanding that we need that kind of feedback from the audience sometimes, and that the show notes really do help reach out to the audience, because Google is searching everything. Because like how you mentioned before, is that now that Google is switching over to the podcast realm with the RSS feed, they actually transcribing what we're talking about, and they are looking at the show notes, so everything is in there. It's so amazing on how far this podcasting stuff have grown, and I've only been doing it for like 3 years.
Yeah, things have changed dramatically as far as SEO, which is really what we're talking about, and then like the video piece that I was mentioning earlier. Things are moving and shaking. We got to keep up.
Yes. So what do you do to keep up then at this point?
That's a good question. Thank you. As I'm sure you know, you can learn anything online if you just search for it. So not only do I attend podcast conferences, and then of course you and I have a shared love for a financial conference, but just staying active and present in the space. But then there are also groups of editors that I'm a member of, so that I'm always seeing and hearing what other editors are going through in their business, and there's different announcements. So the industry specific spaces are important for any business owner, just to be in there and be in the know. And then for podcast news and just developments in the industry, there's a free newsletter called Pod News. And I get that and read that every morning. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, scroll. But some stuff is like, ooh, wait, hold on. Click through, read that. We need to spend 10 minutes reading this. So yeah, it's important. Just stay up with the industry.
Yeah. And also you mentioned, because you're a podcast editor, like, have you noticed that the styles have changed? Because I know we talked about like one-on-one interviews and actually having like a solo episode and so forth, but I noticed that there's been a shift of people just, you know what, I don't need to edit anything. I'm just putting the whole episode out there as is, and we're going to get the raw and nasty of the show, like all the empty spaces and everything. Has there been a growth in that space, or just kind of been like, you know, I need a full edited episode?
I think it's always been and it always will be up to the host, because there are some types of shows in some industries, and let's just be honest, like if you're going to buy a product or a coaching program or something that is 4 or 5 figures, you're going to expect a certain level of professionalism on that person's show, because you're looking at the price tag, you're looking at them, everything's elevated. So you're going to expect very, very clean audio, pristine video, you know, kind of like make the price of the services match what you're putting out, or vice versa. And then there's the other style where maybe it is comedic or extremely conversational, or maybe just like a super chill environment that you're trying to project. And so those are going to be different editing styles. And there is such thing as a show being over edited. So you can take out every mistake and every and everything when you're editing, and your result could be a little bit robotic. So it's finding the balance between over editing and not editing at all, and finding what style suits you.
So we're coming up on the third segment, which is the features. So what skills or habits that you feel will take you to the next level?
Business, the skills I'm really focusing on are truly stepping into like a CEO seat and establishing processes and people and lists and systems for the business. Many of those do exist and we've been using them, but what I'm discovering is my tendency to like get in and mess with things and even have my hands in client work that I love, right? Because I want to, not only do I know that client and I can see the vision and see the brand and know what it should hear, what it should sound like, but someone else has a role in producing that client work, and I need to stay in my lane. So the practices are around boundaries, maintaining and establishing systems, and getting in their lane. Then why? Is the system not right? Is the process not right? What's the issue here? And really identifying those things so that I continue to elevate the business from a high level. Because any of us, if we are stuck in operations in the business, we can't also be operating at a CEO level and growing in the way we should. So I am currently in the middle of that messy transition.
That is awesome. And I wish you the best with that. When I was teaching, one of the sayings was that you don't want to be the stage on the stage, but a guide on the side. And it's like you're so close. And I really hope that you get there, because you have such an amazing product and helping out so many other podcasters achieve their dream as they're out there and actually getting their voice out to the world and not just to their community as well. So thank you so much for understanding where your limitations are and taking a step back, because I can only imagine how far you're going to take your company.
Thank you.
So you ready for the final 4 questions?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Number 1, what does wealth mean to you?
Of course, covering expenses by far and large, having a comfortable retirement set up for us, and knowing that we can look at those numbers and know that we still have time and that they're still growing, and that is going to be a comfortable situation in life. And then the big thing that I'm focused on is creating change as far as my kids' trajectory. There are things that I know as far as accounts and investing and things that we can do for my kids at this young age that I did not have set up for me. So I feel like I can really change our family's wealth and positioning in a generational sense. And that's a big focus.
Nice. Number 2, what was your worst money mistake?
Okay. So way back when, I kind of mentioned it earlier, we just had like a completely disastrous financial situation. And a big piece of that was because a family member was going through a divorce. So like a massive change in her life. And the whole entire situation, I was a bit too close and it pulled on my heartstrings a bit too much. And so I just leapt all in and said, you know what, whatever it takes, we're going to help you. And that ended up being a $60,000 endeavor that I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And so you can imagine how that price tag affects your finances and put us in a bad situation. So with no blame, because I 100% did that to myself by leaping in without boundaries. So I learned around boundaries, and yes, you can give, and yes, you can lead with your heart, but when you are in that position, step forward with like a finite price tag and say, you know what, here's our gift. You know, I hope this gets you to your destination, but this is what I can do. And that's it. That's your boundary. That's your gift. So I didn't know in that way that your gifts could have boundaries. You could still help, but protect yourself.
We might have to have a whole nother episode on that one.
I believe it. Because that was a big old thing. Yes.
Number 3, what is your favorite financial or non-financial book?
Okay. So this is not a financial book. And this is a book that I read that I will reread. It's called The Visual Sale by Marcus Sheridan and Tyler Lessard. So I love this because as a business owner, when you read this, he literally lays out the videos that you should have on your home page, on your about page, on your sales page. So I haven't even put all of this into action, but as I was reading it, I was tagging and marking and highlighting, like, got to do this, got to do this. So it just really helps you build out the visual piece of your business and getting you on video in these different steps so that you probably aren't having the same questions and answers over and over as you bring someone into your client base. So excited to reread that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to pick that one up or listen to it to audio and then decide it. Because you've shown me that I might need to get that physical copy.
We need your face, Anthony.
Number 4, what is your favorite dish to make?
I love making a sour cream enchilada casserole. I can see your face. So just a little backstory. I was actually born in El Paso, Texas, which of course borders with Mexico. And so my young years were very, very strongly influenced by Mexican culture. And I learned some pretty mean enchilada recipes. So I love doing that.
All right, yeah, we might have to see a photo of that. We can probably post up on the internet somewhere.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
Welcome. All right, so the very last question of the show, which is, where can people find out more about you?
So I am on Instagram at Podcast Abundance, and then my website is podcastabundance.com. And the probably best way to get to know me a little more personally is just Facebook. My personal Facebook account is Virginia Elder, so you're invited.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Virginia, for taking your time out of your day to kind of share people behind the scenes about podcasting, at least from an editor's perspective, and also helping people to take themselves to that next level, even if they just beginners or even experienced people, so that they can be successful in the space of podcasting, so that they can all live their abundant life. If you're looking to start your abundance life, go ahead on and head over to podcastabundance.com. Like she said, check her out because she has a lot of cool stuff on their page. All right, everybody, y'all be safe. I'm out. Peace.
Thank you.